It was 50 BC, and the Roman Empire started its conquest of Gaul, led by the cunning and ambitious dictator Julius Caesar. Chief Copacetic from the neighboring village leaves his son, Cassius Ceramix, at the village while he and his wife go somewhere. Cassius is displeased at being left out and vents his frustration by bullying the village's weakest, Obelix. While fleeing from Cassius, Asterix, Obelix's best friend, suggests they hide in the druid's hut, but Cassius catches up to them. When Cassius calls them cowards, Asterix takes him up on his challenge to go into the druid's hut later that night. He promises to bring back the druid's gold sickle as proof that they went inside. That night, Asterix and Obelix sneak into the druid's hut while everyone is at the feast. While Asterix is busy looking for the sickle, Obelix gets drawn towards the magic cauldron the druid used to recreate the magic potion. Cassius pretends to be sick to get Getafix, the village's druid, to have Asterix and Obelix get caught, which causes Obelix to fall into the pot. The next day, Obelix wakes up with an insatiable hunger, as if nothing happened. While they were playing, they later discovered Obelix had developed superhuman strength. When Getafix discovers what happened, he recreates the magic potion that Obelix concocted using a 4-leaf clover that Asterix gave him for his birthday. Getafix asks Chief Vital Statistics to keep it a secret, worried that the effects are still temporary and that he needs to work on the potion. Vital Statistics reassures him they are wise enough to use the magic potion intelligently and reasonably. When word gets out about the magic potion, the villagers use it to make things convenient for them, even abusing it for their entertainment. Getafix gets furious and insists that the magic potion will only be used in self-defense, which brings us to the present. An army of Roman soldiers tries to conquer them but is overwhelmed by the villagers, who have indomitable strength thanks to the magic potion. In Rome, Julius Caesar is displeased that they have yet to conquer all of Gaul. When Caesar insists on focusing all efforts on defeating the last Gaul village, Metadata, Fast and Furious's niece, suggests using Gallic law and their traditions. She explains that when a Gallic chief wants to take control of another village, he challenges the other chief to a one-on-one fight, later called the Big Fight. The chief that remains standing at the end becomes chief of both clans. She claims that if they employ the help of a Gallo-Roman chief, one committed to helping Rome beat the indomitable Gauls, he will become the new chief for both clans, making the villagers Gallo-Romans. Impressed by her suggestion, Caesar sends Fast and Furious and Metadata to Gaul to oversee this big fight. Back in the village, the Gauls celebrate 30 days of no conflict with the Romans, who have remained unconquered thanks to their magic potion that lets them win a fight with the invaders. The next day, Vital Statistics finds himself sick, having eaten too much from last night's celebration. His wife, Impedimenta, is furious that he won't be able to go with her when they plan to go to Lutetia that day. Despite that, she insists on going even if she has to go alone, and orders Getafix to give him some magic potion. When he tells her they ran out of it, she orders him to make more. Meanwhile, Metadata oversees the arena construction where the big fight will happen. POTUS, a Roman commander, worries that they don't stand a chance of winning against the Gaul chief when they have super strength, to which Metadata suggests capturing their druid so he won't be able to make them the magic potion. Fast and Furious orders POTUS not just to capture Getafix, but to kill him, worried he'd threaten their conquest. Getafix goes into the forest alone to gather ingredients for the magic potion. However, when Asterix offers to go with him, he refuses, still displeased with how people treat him. POTUS and his men run into an unescorted Getafix and try to kidnap him. Asterix and Obelix witness it and chase after them. When Asterix drops his magic potion, Obelix throws a huge menhir that lands on top of Getafix, scaring away POTUS and his men. They bring him back to the village to be treated, but when Getafix wakes up, he seems to have lost his memory and is acting crazy. Metadata and Fast and Furious meet their Gallo-Roman chief, Cassius Ceramix, the village chief of Linoleum. Metadata explains that they need Cassius to challenge vital statistics to the big fight to conquer the last Gallic village as a favor for Rome. When Cassius worries about their magic potion, Fast and Furious reassures him that they have taken care of the druid. The village starts to panic as an ill Getafix has lost his memory and gone crazy. Suddenly, Cassius arrives at the village and challenges vital statistics for the big fight. His confidence suddenly plummets when he discovers that Getafix is still alive and returns to POTUS to report it. To prepare for the big fight, Asterix tests Getafix to see if he can still make the magic potion, but the concoction always ends up in an explosion. When it didn't explode, they thought Getafix finally made the potion. Obelix volunteers to test the potion, but Vital Statistics refuses, claiming he should be testing it. Asterix turns him down, worried that Cassius would win by default if anything happened to him. They drag POTUS instead, who inadvertently winds up in the village when he is sneaking around. He tried every concoction he did, but it only changed the color of his skin or made him fly. The next day, Geriatrix helps Vital Statistics train for the big fight while Obelix and Asterix fetch Apotheca, a druid that specializes in mental disorders. When they arrive, Asterix and Obelix start arguing, with Obelix displeased at Asterix for talking for him. Apotheca quickly notices the friction in their relationship and works on getting them to see each other in a different light. After convincing Apotheca to return to the village with them, she was surprised to see her friend Getafix in his condition. When she asked what happened to him, Obelix showed her by dropping a heavy menhir on top of her. When they pull her out from underneath the menhir, Apotheca becomes senile and starts acting like an animal herself. The villagers start to panic, with Getafix still acting crazy and no magic potion when the big fight is right around the corner. Worried that Vital Statistics wouldn't have it in him to defeat Cassius, Impedimenta suggests changing their chief to Obelix, who they know is guaranteed to win in a fight with his superhuman strength. After confirming that their laws allow for such a change, the villagers start fighting over who gets to be chief, including the blacksmith fully automatics and the fishmonger unhygienics. When pressed to decide, Vital Statistics names Obelix chief to represent them in the big fight. After some convincing, Obelix heads out first to prepare for the fight attended by a Roman escort. POTUS panics when he discovers that Vital Statistics has been replaced and that Obelix will be fighting in his stead. When Metadata asks what the problem is, POTUS explains that Obelix fell into a magic pot as a kid, which has given him superhuman strength since then. He worries that Cassius wouldn't stand a chance against Obelix. The villagers also make their way to the amusement park prepared by the Romans to bear witness to the big fight. Everyone was impressed by the lavish and convenient ways of life that even former Chief Vital Statistics thought of making Obelix their permanent chief. When Asterix hears about it, he tries to convince Vital Statics to think it over, worried that Obelix isn't fit for the job. Obelix overhears him questioning his capabilities, and their argument leads to him banishing Asterix from the village. Shocked over what just happened, Asterix walks out, still in disbelief. He quickly comes to his senses when he sees the crazy Getafix and Apotheca climbing up a tall structure. He quickly ran up to catch them when they nearly fell to the ground. He later finds himself trapped in a maze, chasing after Getafix and Apotheca. Meanwhile, the time has come for the big fight, and Cassius and Obelix make their way to the big stage. When Obelix was asked if he had anything to say, he started feeling queasy. He has always had trouble speaking up for a big audience. Suddenly, Obelix faints and collapses to the ground, much to everyone's shock. The referee starts counting, but Obelix is still unconscious after the count of 10, to which Caesar stands up and smirks, believing to have won. With Obelix's defeat, Caesar declares that all of Gaul is finally occupied. A crazed Getafix gets up on stage and insists on more fighting, but Cassius knocks him in the head with a shield that returns him to his senses. Asterix pulls him under the stage away from the soldiers, who are worried they have been defeated. With Caesar's signal, Roman soldiers have the villagers surrounded. Getafix worries they must follow their laws, but Asterix believes it's not over yet. Asterix climbs up the wall and declares to be the last Indomitable, claiming to have been banished by Obelix before the fight. When the audience starts to get rowdy because of the lack of action, Caesar declares he will put on a show for them. Suddenly, giant catapults start firing at the village, which goes against their Gallic laws. Fast and Furious leads the soldiers in dealing with Asterix. At the same time, Metadata helps Getafix escape to the village to make the magic potion. Vital Statistics rallies the villagers to fight for their freedom even without the help of their magic potion. When they finally get cornered, Obelix joins the fight and clears a path for them to return to the village. As they approach the village, they were surprised that Fast and Furious and his soldiers beat them to it, captured Getafix and Metadata, and carried a cauldron of magic potion they were making. To test it, Fast and Furious calls forth POTUS, who quickly finds himself with super strength after drinking the magic potion. Obelix walks up to fight them, but when POTUS fails to stop him, Fast and Furious orders his men to drink the magic potion to outnumber Obelix. When Obelix finally falls, Fast and Furious leads his army to finish them once and for all. As the two armies charge head-on against each other, suddenly the Roman army starts to float. It turns out that Getafix combined the magic potion with the one that lets them fly and change color. The audience is impressed by the vibrant Roman soldiers floating in the air like colored balloons in the sky. Even Caesar's mother, who appeared unimpressed the entire time, was amazed by it. Vital Statistics sends the others back to check on the damage while he confronts and finishes things with Caesar. With his army decommissioned, Caesar pardons the Gauls to live their lives as they see fit. Cassius runs up on stage to make amends with his fellow Gauls, but Vital Statistics sends him flying with a punch. Later, everyone is invited to feast in the village with the Gauls that night. When Obelix is asked to make a speech to explain his offering, he gets choked up. Seeing his friend by his side, Obelix finally overcomes his fear and gets the courage to speak his mind in a spectacular speech that amazes everyone. Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos, and subscribe and tap the bell to be notified about our latest videos. See you next time.